Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm Titi. Well, we know each other, but just for you out there. Um, so yeah, Hear Me Now is something that I have created with Tamasha, and we're doing our second volume now, which is really amazing. And Alix Harris, who is the boss from Beyond Face, is joining me now just to chat, really. We're really like besties, so we're just gonna try and keep it professional and about, Hear Me Now and the sector and but I don't know. Let's just see what goes really. Alix, tell us about yourself first of all.
Well, hello, friend. So my name's Alix, spelt with an I, although Alexandra is my full name, but that's spelt with an E. But I just switched it up when I was about 18. So I founded Beyond Face in 2015, and I'm based in Plymouth, which is in the southwest of England, and it's not Portsmouth. Yeah, so I set Beyond Face up in 2015, and that came out of conversations with young people predominantly talking about how they just didn't really feel like theatre was for them. And there were these two amazing young women who were just about to go off to university, and separately on two different occasions they said, can we go for coffee? And I said, yeah, of course. And then they both sat me down and said, Alix, please can you do something for young Black people in the city? Because we're going and we need someone to do something. So please can you? So that's how kind of Beyond Face done, really.
Wow. Alix, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of you and of Beyond Face. And we met each other 6 years ago. And yeah, I just saw this, gorgeous woman, and I was like, oh, who are you? Let's, we just started chatting and we worked together, and it's just been a beautiful relationship ever since, really. And I'm so glad that you're a part of Hear Me Now. Can I just stop, because I'm quite intentional in everything we do, and I just really want everyone to notice my lovely bookshelf in my office. I've got loads of books like downstairs in my living room, but these, look, I've purposely arranged them. So if you zoom in, you'll see Safe by Derek Owusu. You'll see Slay in Your Lane, Hear Me Now, of course, Emergent Strategy, just one of the Black and British. Can we just, and then I've got Plant.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about your plant. It's like slightly on the edge.
Look, because you know why? It doesn't really go there. It goes on my windowsill, but because of this, I was like, let me put a plant. And then I've got a macrame thing.
Nice.
I just thought, yeah. So just have a look.
That is a good shelf. That's Instagrammable, that is.
Thank you. Yeah. For the culture. So we met and we've worked together ever since. So when volume 2 came about, and we were choosing theatres that were outside of London and just across England, I was like, Alix, let's do this. So can you kind of talk about, maybe, apart from like obviously knowing me and whatever, but what were your kind of reasons behind wanting to be a part of volume 2?
So obviously I have got volume 1. And I also, part of my job was there we go, look at that, beautiful. It's just been a real, so when I teach, because I work at university as well, and the artists that come through, they're like, Alix, have you got a monologue, or like, what can I do that? And I'm like, yes, here you go. And it's just been like so refreshing to just someone's got my copy and I don't know who it is, so if you're watching this and you've got it, give it back. But yeah, like, it's just been, I watched it from afar, obviously, like you'd spoken to me about it, and seeing the students that I work with, seeing the artists that I work with just use it and be like, oh yeah, I use this one, and getting me to have a look at their audition pieces with it. And I guess it's just that thing of like, I'm super proud of you and super proud of like the whole entire project. And as soon as when you asked, I was like, yes. Like, because I think also what I love about it is because it is about the regions.
Yes.
And I think that for me, that's something that I just go on about all the time, because the people that we work with down here have different stories to tell. Yes, Plymouth is a beautiful place to live in, but it's also got its problems like other places. And there are stories here and in Devon and in the southwest that don't I feel like don't get given that profile and that visibility, and that's what we're about as a company. And I feel like Hear Me Now is a amplification of what we're doing, and it just feels like a really beautiful connection, because and there's something about it being in print, like that's there, you know, like that's, I think that's there's an absolute legacy then that can kind of continue, and that's what and it's an immediate catalyst for change, for people to see that on people's bookshelves.
No, I agree. Thank you for saying that. No, for me, I'm just a huge collaborator anyway. So this was never about me or anything like that. This was about, you know, representation across the board. And, you know, I want to go into Scotland and Northern Ireland as well, Wales, you know. So, because for the first book, yes, it was our first time of doing something like this. So it was just with who we knew at that time. And it was just, you know, and then for the second volume, some of the feedback that we got was like, let's tell stories that are outside of London. Let's tell stories in Leeds and in Plymouth, in Newcastle, in Manchester as well. You know, all of our experiences are different, and we're so used to people lumping us all together anyway, aren't we? So, so what do you think about? So at the moment, it's just called Hear Me Now, right? So the first bit was Hear Me Now, audition monologues for actors of colour. Yeah. And that was like 2017 kind of thing, 2018. And I don't want to use the term of colour anymore. So what are the kind of collective terms that you're using? Because I know like you speak to Amanda Parker a lot, and her BAME over work, which was just, you know, has been phenomenal. And a lot of kind of different collective terms came up there, like was it ethnically diverse, and things like that. So what kind of terms do you use? Because we're actually thinking still about the title of the book.
Do you know what, it's really interesting because we went on board with the BAME Over campaign, started using ethnically diverse, and then I looked on Twitter and saw loads of people going, they don't like the term ethnically diverse, like diverse people. And I think it's interesting that we even have to still say it.
Yeah.
So actually, like, we've just launched our writers program, and we had this conversation. We were like, what should we do on the call out? Like, what should we put out? And I was like, let's just put a call out for writers. Yeah. And then put like a little asterisk. And then in the next kind of image, it's like, this is for writers who fit within these, you know, the African Caribbean diaspora, and break it down that way, because we felt like the first thing I want people to go is, that we're all writers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And going like, this is here, and then, but the space that we are creating is a space for people
I like that, actually.
Diaspora. And I think that because you know what, we pick up monologue books and go, well, this is a white person, this isn't for me. Yeah. So why isn't it, you know, do we do that the other way and going, here's our work, if someone reads that going, is that for me? Like, is there something in white people doing the same thing and picking it up and going, oh, that's not for me?
Absolutely. But it's so funny though, because when we've put out recruitment, you know, tweets about finding artists for the book, like all the theatres and stuff, I have seen some comments like, oh, so this is not for me then, and it's like a white person or whatever, or they're saying that it's not fair. And I never get into it, because I'm like, I don't have time to get into it with you in the comment section about why you think this is not fair. But I think you're right. I think for now, I'm just happy to call it Hear Me Now Volume 2. And then it could be for people of the African Caribbean diaspora, South Asian, East Asian, Southeast Asian, Middle Eastern, North African, and mixed and dual heritage. I might just keep it as that. I'm not quite sure. But that's a bit further down the line. But I just thought I'd just ask you, because I just think language and terminology is ever evolving, and it's very different. And how you self-identify obviously is the main thing. But it's not, there's going to be no right way, or no one's ever going to be happy with collective terms anyway, because it just doesn't put the person first, and it's suggesting that we all have the same experiences, and we don't. So I think that's just an ongoing conversation, and I don't think we'll ever get it right. But I mean, we've come a long way, because it's a lot better than BAME anyway, or whatever.
Yeah, and I do think it is that, absolutely, that we're not going to get it right. And I'll probably think this evening, oh, I'm not sure I should have said that, because I'm not sure I got that. It's a whole conversation, isn't it? A continuing conversation. And I think we recognise that language is fluid, and that we are kind of always it's those people that want to stay back in the old times.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if we just keep moving forward, then that means that, you know.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've all come a long way. I mean, I grew up being called, you know, coloured and stuff, and thinking that was okay. So we've come a long way. Of course, there's still so far to go, but I think that there's institutions and funding bodies and things like that that have recognised that actually some of this terminology and language is damaging and it's toxic and it's harmful, and have been open for change, which is good. As always, I think when we're having these discussions, we have to think who's in the room, who's at the table having them. So with what Hear Me Now is about and what you do at Beyond Face, it is really about changing the narrative, changing the sector, representation, and making sure that our stories are being told in the right way and by us. And so if you were given like a blank check, and for like a year, you could do anything to change the sector, what would you kind of do? How would you spend that money?
What wouldn't I do? Where to begin? Do you know what? I think there's something about freelancers getting paid for a holiday, like a holiday package for freelancers.
Yeah.
Because I just think that it's just, you can just burn out so easily in our industry. And I just feel like people, you know, some of us have to work a lot harder than others. And I just think that we say yes to maybe jobs that we don't want to do, or, you know, and that kind of thing. And I think that's because there isn't a system in place which allows us to have space to breathe. So I guess I'd kind of say a holiday package for freelancers. I also think maybe sick pay for freelancers as well, so that you're allowed to take that time off to heal. And I think like a dream pot. So like a pot of money for artists, for young people that they can have, which they can spend with, you know, on space or whoever they want to collaborate with, where they can dream.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need an outcome.
Yeah.
And I think that as a sector, like we're so obsessed with numbers, like how many people are we reaching? We're obsessed with like, what is the outcome? What's this project doing for people? How does it benefit people? All of that. And actually you get so wrapped up in that you forget to dream, or I do, like that's how
I agree, because it's all about the deliverables as well, isn't it? What we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think kind of things like that. I think young people should be paid to be on boards. I think every single arts organisation should, in their board, there should be young people represented, and that those young people are paid to be there, so that they, you know, don't need to be working in their job that day, that they know that they've got that allocated space. And I think like, I think it's just so much of it is about transformation and looking at looking at buildings and going, does all theatre need to happen in here? And obviously like COVID's meant that we've been thinking outside the box so much more, but I think the investment needs to be in smaller companies as well, because I think smaller companies do big things.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I want to get rid of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And I know that's quite hard to measure, but I just feel like there's levels of mediocrity. I feel like Black people feel like we cannot be mediocre. We're not allowed to make mistakes, or we're not allowed to have that room to think. So I like the idea of the ideas pot, but I would also expand that to be like, yeah, because I kind of feel that I don't buy into this Black excellence, those kind of things, because it's like we're always measuring ourselves against white people essentially. And I just think it's like that shouldn't be it, because that shouldn't be the norm or the mainstream or whatever. I think, yeah, we're not allowed to make mistakes, or we're not allowed to say I need help, or without it being either something taken away from us, or can you not handle this or whatever. Yeah. And I just think we don't get a chance to do that. I don't think across the whole board, across the whole different industries, but if we think about arts and culture, I think it takes a long time to get into an AD position if you haven't started something yourself. If you don't want to start your own thing and you want to be an AD of a company that already exists, it's so hard to do that. And then when you are there, you're scrutinized so much. Yeah. Where it's like, if you make a mistake, oh well, see, and it's like, oh my gosh. So I'd want to do something around that. I want it to be like, let us just breathe. Yeah. These systems weren't built for us, so let us navigate our way around them and be okay to do that. Yeah. And have your support, have people support in doing that. You know, I think it's such a big whoop hooray when we see somebody who is an artistic director, and it's just amazing. But I automatically think, what support do they have? Like, are there people that are for them in that organization, on their board? You know, that's what the kind of thing that I feel like also needs to change as well. We just need time to breathe sometimes.
Yes. And definitely, and time for, I mean, you and I have a lot of laughter, like, but I think that the space to be able to laugh and to have joy, to have Moj, and because I think it's so important.
Tell people like Moj. What is Moj, Alix?
Yeah. Moments of joy.
Moments of joy.
Moments of joy.
Copywritten, by the way, so it's patented, whatever. So,
yeah, because I think I really
on us.
yeah, because I really get that, because I always forget to tell that part of the story in terms of why I set Beyond Face up, because I had lots of assistant role, or not even lots of assistant roles, like there's not a huge amount of opportunities for artists, or there wasn't when I started out in Devon. And you know, I was like, I want to make work, but the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to set up my own company as well. And it just feels like I absolutely love my job, and I love all that Beyond Face is doing and all that it's about, but you don't get a day off, really, because, and you're always constantly going like, what am I saying, what am I doing, who, you know, and thinking about the repercussions that it has on the company. And you know, if you make a piece of work, if I make a piece of work, it's also the consequences on the company as well, and then on the artist that we're working for. And always that, and people really patronize us and think that we're very young, or they look at our work and go, oh, that was a really good piece of community theatre. And I'm like, I wasn't community theatre, like these actors were paid, like, do you want to see my budget? Like they were paid, like, why have you got to put us under that label of community? And I think that's what I'd want to transform, really, like, and I don't know how you do that necessarily with money. Like, I think
no, I don't think so either. I don't know why that was a stupid question I asked, but no, I think it really is about I mean, obviously things take time, but I agree. And since moving to Coventry, and since kind of like, especially being on volume 2 and working with different, and it was purposefully, even for my career, it's intentional that I wanted to make sure that I'm connecting with people outside of London. I want to connect with people internationally as well. And I, you know, because you know, art is glorious and it's transformative and it's so beautiful, right? But it still can have a narrow lens. And I think that, I mean, it's like you were saying Plymouth, and people say Portsmouth, or you know, they think that certain work is held to different standards if you're not in London, if you are in London, you know, all of that type of thing. And I just think all of that doesn't help with this, you know, when we're having these kind of conversations. And it's like, you have contributed to British theatre, you are making contributions to the theatre ecology, you are supporting not only just young people but professional actors, writers, whatever, to create work, you know, and all of that. And it's just, sometimes it's just seen differently. And I don't think that's fair. You are the boss. What's it like being a boss? What's it like being an artistic director?
What a question. I love it. Majority of my time, like percentage wise, I love it, because I get to be that push, be that kind of person in spaces, knocking on doors, trying to kind of shape things so that other people don't have to as well, and that they can embrace the joy that comes with that. And I feel like everything I do on a daily basis is for other people, is for artists, is for young people. Any decision I make, I'm always thinking about, is this going to be of benefit for these the people that we work with? Like, we always consult with going, how do you like, you know, what do you think about this? Like, you know, and that's, I love being able to do that, and to dream about different possibilities, and to connect up and do projects like this. I think we work in such a collaborative way at Beyond Face. So I, you know, when we're in the space together as a team, like, I don't feel like people's bosses, like, and if anything, I'm probably the most immature, and just kind of like, you know, have a lot of, have to go, oh yeah, hang on, we're in a meeting, let's move this forward, because I'd happily just sit there and like, you know, just have lots of fun with people. But I guess it would be, the worry is what is hard. Like, I'm woke up at like 5:30 this morning, 6, going, oh yeah, I've got to make that decision, and I need to kind of we've got a business.
Heavy the crown, heavy the one that wears the crown on the head.
Yeah.
Heavy the crown.
Yeah.
Heavy. I can't remember.
What? Yeah, that.
It's that, isn't it? It's that.
Yeah. And I think, I think the world of Twitter, like I think it feels like Twitter's a constant review, like getting reviews feels like it's like Twitter is that new platform for that. And I think it's very easily to get sucked into that world of looking at it and looking what other artistic directors are doing and who's in the light, who's in the light. Everyone's like, oh my God, that person's amazing, they're doing this. And I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, I've been doing that for like years now, but you don't get that profile and that platform. And then even when profile and platform is offered, it's really scary. It feels really scary at times. But it's not about me, it's about the work that we want to create, the voices that we want to amplify, and then the next generation.
And I think you do that so well. I mean, I know I'm biased because I love you to bits, but that's why I think Beyond Face gives me joy, and that's why I wanted Beyond Face to be a part of Hear Me Now, because really it wasn't just about the numbers game. It wasn't just about, oh, let's have different theatres. I wanted theatres that were either gone on a journey themselves, if they're not like black led or whatever, you gone on that journey. So this is not just a tokenistic project for you. But what I love about Beyond Face is just your team. Like, I love your team. I love Helen. I love the people that you work with and you choose to work with as well, who share your vision and they really drive and they're really, really passionate. And then all the things that you do, for me it's just like your own personal values are really important. I just see that in your company, and as somebody that's kind of like watched you kind of in the past few years, like I just think you don't give yourself enough credit. You're like freaking amazing. But I know how hard it has been as well. I know how it's challenging, because sometimes you're that company that's put on the pedestal. That's like, and then that's quite a lot, because again, like what I was saying earlier, where's the room to make mistakes or the room to like just breathe a bit, because you're just seen as so that's why I was saying the heavy is the crown business, because it's like, yes, this is great that what you're doing, but at the same time, that comes with a lot of burden in a way. Like you are seen now as the company that is going to eradicate racism in the Southwest and all of that, and it's like, I want to do art. I want to do art. Yes, all of these things are important, but I also want to do art, and I want to give art to the people or whatever. But then sometimes you're looked upon as the black theatre company or the whatever, and it's just, that's a lot as well.
And I'm open to people not liking our work. Like I'm because you should be allowed to make mistakes and you should be allowed to make bad art. But it does that pressure, and I think even more so now as well, like coming out of lockdown and everything, and what we do, and actually the last 6 months we've been doing so much work for other people, like doing other commissions and things. And actually what I'm really excited about is us launching our programs and really just kind of not asking for permission from other people now, and just going, well, this is what we do. If you like it, great. If you don't, go away. Basically.
Oh, Alix, I can, as always, we chat and we can chat and chat. I appreciate you kind of having this little, convo about Hear Me Now, about the industry, about the stuff that you're doing. Thank you for just coming on this journey. Thank you for being a part of the Hear Me Now family. Thank you for all that you do. You're awesome. You're amazing. Love ya.
Thank you.
Like I'm giving you hugs. I'm giving you virtual hugs.
Stop doing this. This is like, oh, squeeze.
Oh gosh.